You go home tonight to people who share your blood, or your bed, or both. A parent. A partner. Kids who look a little like you. It feels obvious, like it was always going to be this way. It wasn't. For most of the 6 million years since your lineage split from chimpanzees, nobody can prove that arrangement existed at all. No bones, no burial, no DNA. Just silence, stretching across almost the entire length of human evolution. The first hard proof that a mother, a father, and their children were buried together as a unit is only about 4,600 years old. Everything before that is guesswork built on teeth, bones, and a few very stubborn scientists who refuse to agree with each other. Start with the teeth. Run your tongue along your own canines right now. They're small, blunt, almost useless as weapons. Compare that to a male gorilla, whose canines are long, curved daggers built for one purpose: fighting other males for access to females. Somewhere in your ancestry, that weapon shrank down to nothing. Anthropologists see. Owen Lovejoy has spent decades arguing that the shrinking wasn't random. It was a trade. Stop fighting for many mates. Start investing in one, and evolution quietly takes the knife out of your mouth because you no longer need it. The fossil at the center of this argument is 4.4 million years old. Her name is Ardi, Ardipithecus ramidus, dug out of the ground in Ethiopia. Her canines are already small. Lovejoy connects that directly to something else about her skeleton. She walked upright. Free your hands from walking on your knuckles, and suddenly you can carry food home instead of eating it on the spot. A male who reliably brings food back is worth pairing with. So, walking on two legs and pairing up with one partner may have evolved together as a single package, millions of years before anything resembling a house, a hearth, or a wedding existed. That's the tidy version. Here's the problem with it. Move forward 500,000 years to Lucy's species, Australopithecus afarensis, and the pattern falls apart. If pairing up were already locked in, males and females should be roughly the same size. That's what you see in genuinely monogamous animals. Instead, Lucy's male relatives were considerably bigger than the females, closer to the size gap you find in gorillas, a species built around one male guarding a harem, not one male pairing for life. So either the tooth evidence is misleading, or the first family got invented, lost, and reinvented more than once over millions of years. Even the experts who study this for a living don't fully agree. What are the odds you'd have guessed the science itself was still arguing about this? Skip forward again, past the first stone tools, past the first fire your ancestors ever huddled around. In 2023, archaeologist Larry Barham and his team, working at Kalambo Falls in modern Zambia, found something nobody expected hominins to be capable of doing 476,000 years ago. 2 logs deliberately notched together to interlock, preserved in waterlogged mud. Somebody built a structure meant to be returned to. But a structure doesn't tell you who lived inside it. A hut has no last name. For most of the 20th century, anthropologists studying living hunter-gatherer groups assumed prehistoric humans lived in loose, flexible bands, not tight nuclear units, and projected that assumption backward onto every excavated hut floor, with no way to check if it was true. To actually check, you don't need architecture. You need bodies. In 2005, archaeologists near the town of Eulau in Germany opened 4 graves holding 13 bodies, roughly 4,600 years old. One grave was different from anything found before it. An adult man and woman lay on their sides, facing each other, arms physically wrapped around 2 young boys. Geneticist Wolfgang Haak and his team extracted DNA from the skeletons in 2008, and the results confirmed what the arrangement of the bodies only suggested. This man and woman really were the biological parents of both children. It remains the oldest case on record where DNA, not a guess, not a grave good, not a hunch, proves a biological mother, father, and their children were buried together as one family. Now picture the morning this grave was dug. All 13 people died at once, and the skeletons carry wounds from arrows and stone axes. The ages tell their own story. Children under 10, adults over 30, almost nobody in between. The able-bodied young adults were likely away when the attack happened. They came home to find their families dead, and instead of a rushed burial, they took the time to arrange each body deliberately. Parents wrapped around children. One gesture held in the dirt for 46 centuries. One more detail turns this from tragedy into a map. Chemical signatures in the victim's teeth, left behind by the water and soil where a person grew up. A method called isotope analysis showed the men and children had lived their whole lives near Eulau. The women hadn't. They'd grown up somewhere else and moved to join their partner's community after pairing up, a pattern researchers call patrilocality. Sound familiar? It's the same basic decision made by anyone who's ever packed a life into boxes and moved across the country to be with someone they love. That decision is not a modern invention. It shows up in DNA from before anyone had wheels to move the boxes with. Here's the twist that should really bother you. A 2021 study led by geneticist Chris Fowler and colleagues, working on a 700-year-old tomb at Hazleton North in England, sequenced DNA from 35 people and found something bigger than one nuclear family. 5 generations. Almost all of them descended from a single man and 4 different women, likely his partners across different points in his life. Family stretched across a century, branching and blending, still buried together as one unit long after the founding generation had died. And separately, a 2019 study by Elissa Mitnick and Johannes Krause on Bronze Age households in southern Germany found something stranger still. Some people buried inside these family compounds weren't genetically related to anyone else there. No shared blood, no fanfare. Just present and included in a household otherwise built on kinship. So which is the real first family, the tight, murdered nuclear unit at Eulau, or the sprawling, blended, partly unrelated household everywhere else the DNA gets checked? Both. That's the actual answer, and it's more honest than any single tidy story could be. You still go home tonight to people who share your blood, or your bed, or neither. It still feels obvious, permanent, like it was always going to look exactly like this. It wasn't obvious, it wasn't guaranteed. It was built, tested, broken, and rebuilt by people who sometimes died defending it, going back at least 4,600 years, and possibly rooted in a decision written into a shrinking tooth millions of years before that. The room you're walking into tonight is not an accident of biology. It's the end of an argument your ancestors have been having with each other since before they could speak.